rain had stopped, and the overlying feeling of despair slowly lifted off our group. But after a brief moment of peace, it returned, a long brewing anger joining it. While the others played Scrabble inside, Space and I opted to sit outside and observe the night sky. Space had set up her telescope and was staring through at the stars above, while I sat in the grass beside her, fiddling with my revolver. As I spun the barrel, I watched Space's smile grow as she looked through her telescope. While I wasn't as much as a space enthusiast as she was, I loved seeing her act so passionate about it all. It made me smile.
The sky looks so beautiful tonight. Especially the stars.
She commented as she stepped away from the telescope. While I couldn't see through the observation device from where I was standing, I could indeed spot an array of stars scattered across the sky. And from what I learned from the astronomy class the two of us took together 2 years ago, the North Star was currently in sight. It's really beautiful, Space, I said as I stared up at the sky. Just like you. Space immediately blushed, and I immediately froze up. Why'd you say that of all things? I saw someone say it on TV once. God damn it, Anakin, if you screw this up... Wait, hold on. She's smiling. I looked up at Space as she turned to me, smiling faintly. She giggled as she approached me, sitting down on the grass beside me.
Annie? You're so awkward.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Why do girls have to be so confusing? Just sitting next to her, just being around her, I felt something inside of me. A warm feeling that just made me feel uneasy but happy. We had both admitted our feelings to each other, but the feeling of awkwardness still remained. I slowly inched towards her, my hand brushing against hers.
Hey, Annie, have you ever kissed someone?
I blushed, stuttering for a second before managing to get an answer out. I don't think so. Why?
Nothing. I was just thinking about old memories and stuff.
Old memories? Have you ever kissed someone? She shook her head.
Nope. I nearly did at this one science Olympiad party, but I chickened out.
I chuckled. Well, hopefully before we die, I'll get a chance to cross that off my bucket list. Space giggled.
Really, Annie?
After all the times hunters barged into class in the morning, bragging about face-sucking a girl the night before, you haven't been even the slightest bit curious of what it feels like to kiss someone? I asked her with a chuckle. She shrugged.
Maybe. Maybe we can try someday.
Someday? And when is this someday? Space turned a deep shade of red before looking up at me.
Maybe right now? If you want?
The two of us chuckled, turning to each other. Our eyes met, and I was sure we could both feel that lustful feeling that we both inhabited for each other. I didn't even realize that a few moments later, her face was only inches away from mine. She whispered, softly,
Annie, is this?
Okay? Yeah. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her towards me. My entire body briefly froze up, and I began to think to myself, was this what she wanted? Was this what I wanted? Did she like me? Was it a trap? Before I could hesitate, her mouth was pressed against mine. I reciprocated the kiss, pulling her close to me. I did my best, awkwardly kissing her back as our hands clasped together and her body moved closer to mine. When we finally broke away, only a string of wetness was left between us. Space pulled back, breaking the string and blushing immensely. I too was embarrassed, but chose instead to speak and chuckle. She giggled as soon as she noticed me laughing, and after a few seconds we broke into full-on laughter.
Whoa, 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 what's going on here?
Kaylee asked, opening the glass door.
No funny business unless you're behind closed doors.
Relax, we were just kissing. Spencer's head then popped out from behind her.
Wait! You two were kissing?
Who's kissing? Ryan asked.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell everyone!
Spencer exclaimed like a first grader. The two of us blushed, Space pulling her beanie down over her face as Spencer's shouts echoed throughout the house.
Hey, everyone! Space Kiss Daddy! Yeah, Space Kiss Daddy!
I got up, taking her hand and leading her into the house. We were met by Maddie, who was shooting us a smirk.
Oh, took you long enough?
Shut up!
Space said as she sat down beside Maddie.
What happened?
Octavia asked, walking down the hallway to join us. Ryan turned around, pointing to Space and me.
Apparently, Sherlock and Spacey had a little smooch session down in the yard.
Sherlock?
Smooch session?
You look like a Sherlock to me.
Ryan responded, returning to Scrabble.
Well, I'm happy for you. If I had the guts, I'd totally date Kaylee.
Octavia said as she held a teddy bear close to her body.
I'm always here, baby.
Kaylee joked, scooting aside so Octavia could sit down.
Oh, so you two swing that way. Any, girl-on-girl action since you've been living here together?
Spencer asked with a smirk. Kaylee shot him a smirk as well.
Maybe, but if there was, you aren't getting any look at it.
Octavia shook her head.
To clarify, we're not actually a thing.
Yeah, because I'm not a pan.
Pan? I asked.
Pansexual. It means...
You're attracted to pans!
Octavia facepalmed, any hope she had for humanity fading from her body. She answered in an annoying tone.
No. It means that sex and gender doesn't matter to me.
Oh. But technically that still means you could be attracted to a pan.
Yes, Spencer, I could be attracted to a pan.
She replied in a monotone voice. Axel and Julia were both forced to listen to this, and I was unsure if either of them understood any of it. Though most of the time Julia was playing with her letters, Axel doing the same. While Julia was gathering all the eyes from the abandoned Scrabble game, Axel and Andrew were facing off.
Muffin sack, 24 points!
Axel exclaimed. Andrew scoffed.
Muffin sack doesn't count.
Does too!
Oh yeah? Show me. Where in the dictionary does it say muffin sack?
Calm down, you two. It's just Scrabble.
Ryan told them.
Stay out of this! I'm so close to winning!
Julia then gathered her tiles and placed them side by side with a smirk.
Maximize. 78 points.
Andrew and Axel stared at Julia, dumbfounded. Axel scrambled for the bag of tiles, turning it over and shaking it. But to no avail. Every single tile had been used, and Julia had overtaken both Andrew and Axel with a single word.
Well, now that we're all together, how about we tell some stories?
Maddie suggested.
I'm sure we all have some sort of story to tell that'll make us laugh.
Sounds good. Better than dealing with those mutants roaming around the streets.
Andrew replied.
I'll get us something to eat then.
Ryan said before standing up and walking into the kitchen. Quinn got up as well, joining him in the other room. Andrew raised his hand first.
If we're telling stories, I got one a few years ago, back in high school. Remember the science lab incident?
Spencer, Maddie, and I stifled a laugh, while Octavia looked over to him and asked,
Lab incident?
Okay, so back in freshman year, Spencer had a crush on a girl before Maddie, but he didn't know that the girl was Hunter's girlfriend. Before he tried anything, him and Hunter had chemistry class together. So, one day when they went to chem, they had to create some kind of reaction. Spencer ended up missing some experiments and put the lab into lockdown. Hunter got quarantined and was sent to the hospital for temporary treatment. Nothing serious, just a few chemical burns. Anyways, he came back a week later after treatment and had to wear a hat because his hair kept falling out. But when he pulled up, he saw Spencer in front asking out his girlfriend. He flipped out and locked Spencer in a locker before dumping his backpack into a toilet.
Octavia and Kaylee chuckled, the kids joining in as well. I remembered the memory vividly, especially having to call the janitor to unlock the locker so he could get out. Soon after, I told a story from our high school days as well. Okay, so, Hamster pulled up at the school at around 11 with me, Andrew, Maddie, and Hunter in the back. First, we dechlorinated the pool and put in about 50 goldfish, then wiped the entire gym floor with grease so the team sports class would slip up tomorrow. Next, we changed the school's default PC backgrounds to a picture of a swimsuit model. Finally, we put lube on all of the door handles and then glued the door shut with Gorilla Glue. School canceled for a week, and none of us got in trouble. Well, we kind of blamed it all on Hunter. The others laughed, but Octavia frowned.
Those poor goldfish.
We then turned to see Ryan enter the room, carrying a large bowl of popcorn in one hand and holding a six-pack of soda cans in the other.
I thought we all might like some snacks to eat.
Thank you, Rai.
Kaylee exclaimed in joy, before asking,
But how did you make the popcorn?
There happens to be a microwave in the RV.
Quinn answered for him.
And while I was out there, I brought a few things I picked up earlier that I thought you would like.
He reached into his jacket, pulling out a small array of candy bars, all of our individual favorites.
A Butterfingers for Madeline, a Snickers for Anakin, a Twix for Spencer, dark chocolate Milky Way for Andrew because he's edgy.
Andrew shot him a glare, crossing his arms while Kaylee, Spencer, and Space all snickered quietly. After passing out the remainder of the chocolate bars, he sat down, snacking on a bag of M&Ms for himself.
By the way, who's Hamster?
Kaylee asked.
He was a friend of ours.
Andrew explained.
His name was Luis, but we called him Hamster.
Why?
Octavia asked. We all had little nicknames for each other. Maddie is Smart Person because she helped me with my homework once. I explained to them, before listing off everyone else. Spencer is Gerbil because he's weird and nerdy. Andrew is Pyro because he has a fire fetish. Andrew shot me another glare, the comments obviously irritating him. I made a mental note not to piss him off too much. Hunter was Weed Boy because he sold weed. Sarah is Space because she likes astronomy. I'm Fish because I have a short attention span and bad memory. And then Luis was Hamster because...
He was much larger than the rest of us, and was a part of the furry fandom.
Quinn said.
That and he became obsessed with our old English teacher's pet hamster.
The others laughed, and I started talking about Luis. He was a good man. Bad grammar, bad sleep schedule, and a bad drug problem, but he was still our friend. He was brave, he was tough, and he always kept to a schedule. He's the one who drove us around, he's the one who took us to school in the mornings, and he's the one who cheered us up when we were sad. He was a good man.
Run, kid!
I'm sorry to hear he's gone.
Octavia said, politely.
Do you mind me asking how he died?
Octavia said politely. When Greenbrook City was bombed, Luis went back. He saw a kid trapped in a crashed car, and gave his life to make sure that kid survived. And that kid was Axel. Axel stared down at the ground, covering his face with the hat. I could tell he was still uncomfortable talking about that subject, or about Luis at all. I patted him on the back, before breaking off a piece from my Snickers bar and handing it to the young boy. He took it, attempting to hide a faint smile as he did so.
Alright, so families. It's a bit of a sore topic considering the conditions, but I want to know about your guys' families.
Said Kaylee with a smile as the storm outside returned. I frowned, eyeing the rain, thunder, and lightning through the sliding doors. My father owned a bagel shop, my stepdad was a chef, and my mom stayed at home to take care of me. My dad was always a bit strict, but my stepdad was a bit more chill, unless he got a hold of more than a few cans of beer. And then my mom. Overprotective would be the word I would use to describe her. It was only because she loved me, though. I explained. Space explained next.
My parents weren't there very much, always away on business conferences and such. But when they were home, they were the best parents they could be. And they taught me to be strong, continue my education, and always have hope for the future.
Ryan went next.
My parents died in a fire. I got taken in by a gang who threatened to kill me. Not very much to say, to be honest.
He muttered as he stood in the corner. It was a sore subject to him, and none of us were going to press him about it. One by one, we all went through. Maddie's family was dysfunctional, and we were forced to stop her after 5 minutes. Or else she'd go on to a full-on rant about her entitled grandmothers and crazed parole officers. We skipped over Octavia, and then went to Quinn.
They were nice,
he said. That was all he had to say. And then Andrew came.
I ain't saying. Now move on.
muttered Andrew, as he attempted to stay out of the discussion. Spencer went next.
Okay, so my parents are just horrible. Almost every weekend they run off, no warning, and come back Sunday night drunker than a dipsomaniac. My dad's just an alcoholic, and my mom is crazy. She didn't even let me have a phone until just a few months ago. And I'm almost 18!
Considering how much porn you have downloaded onto that thing, no wonder she didn't let you. Probably didn't want to stumble upon your stash of inflation, hentai, and incest videos.
Andrew joked, glaring at Spencer with a look of irritancy.
At least I have parents.
None of us saw it coming. Andrew saw red, and he proceeded to land a punch directly at his face. Spencer was thrown back, slamming into a bookcase as he clutched at his nose. He looked back up at him.
What the hell?
Andrew got up, stepping towards Spencer as the boy looked up at him. He had no time to brace for a second attack before he grabbed Spencer by the shoulders, throwing him against the ground.
I am sick of you. I'm fucking sick of you, Spencer. All you do is complain and complain, like an entitled little bitch.
We all stood up, Octavia and Kaylee moving in to intervene, but none of us moved. Spencer stood back up, swinging at Andrew, who dodged and grabbed Spencer by the arm, shoving him against the wall. Spencer, however, elbowed Andrew in the shoulder and punched him across the face, causing him to stumble back. Andrew looked back up, a faint bruise visible on his cheek. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed Spencer by the arm and shoved him to the ground, kicking him twice in the stomach. The boy got up, scrambling for his backpack. He unzipped the bag and picked it up, only for Andrew to throw him against the wall like a doll. He slammed against the table and screamed, the corner jabbing into his side.
Your entire life, you've never done shit. You made Quinn do your homework, you made Luis drive you around, and you used me to avoid getting beat up at school. And now, you have the nerve to say something like that? You fucking cuck!
Andrew shouted at Spencer. Spencer backed away, stepping down the hallway towards the door as Andrew approached him. When they reached the doorway, Spencer swung, but Andrew grabbed his arm, twisted it behind his back, and kicked at the back of Spencer's leg, knocking him to the ground. Spencer groaned, falling to his knees before looking up at Andrew. He was unable to respond before Andrew kicked him in the chest, knocking him on his side. He let out a groan, his entire body shaking as he tried to get back up.
Even now you can't do shit! You sit in the corner, playing your fucking video games while we do all the work. I drive, Quinn heals, Maddie keeps us calm, and Anakin keeps us alive. And what do? Tell me!
Spencer didn't answer. He stood there, holding his bag and clutching his arm, before Andrew tackled him to the ground, landing punch after punch on his face. He unleashed all his anger on the boy, slamming his knuckles onto his skin.
My family is dead. I wish I had parents who cared about me. And like them, none of us fucking care about you. Andrew!
Ryan rushed to my side to assist, and the two of us pulled him back, the boy eventually wrestling our hands off. He stood beside us, glaring at Spencer, who crawled toward his bag. The contents spilled out into the rain, and picked up his laptop. He looked back up at Andrew, his nose covered in blood, and his eyes red and puffy.
Fine. If you all hate me so much, I'll leave.
He began to stumble down the road, holding his ruined laptop in his arms, covered in his hoodie.
Spencer, wait!
She tried to call out to him, but Octavia grabbed her shoulder. She sighed.
Give him some time to cool off. He'll probably be back in the morning.
Andrew glared at the two of them.
That dipshit ain't allowed back with us. Not until he fucking mans up and realizes that we aren't gonna protect him anymore. And considering how much we've kept him safe so far, he won't survive the night.
Andrew stomped back into the house, leaving Maddie, Octavia, and I standing out in the rain, watching as Spencer stumbled through the rain, his laptop in hand. He soon disappeared from sight, turning a corner and leaving us alone. Maddie burst into tears, hugging Octavia for comfort